The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever the time of the day it is for all of you. Thank you all for joining. We have almost 300 of you here, and then pretty soon I'm sure to go up to 400 or 500 in a few minutes. We are just delighted, IFEES, GEDC, IUC. We have Dr. Hans Hoyer here from IFEES GEDC, and we're just delighted that this initiative that we started almost 3-4 weeks ago, when the COVID crisis hit the world, that we're delighted, that we're happy that at least this in this way we can help people grapple and deal with the crisis that we're all facing. As you've all seen, there's a lot of interest in online engineering education, and the world is going to be changed. I mean, even after the crisis is gone in a few months, I expect that most of the engineering education will see some changes. At least to some extent, online engineering education is here to stay in a significant way in engineering education institutions all over the world. So I think continuing to have a forum on a regular basis where we share best practices, where we hear from experts, sometimes hear from experts, but also hear from each one of you as to what you're doing, the successes, the failures, and learn from each other. That's the best way of learning. As we know, collaborative learning is more important than a sage on the stage. A teacher on the platform giving lecture is not as effective as if the students themselves are discussing the issues, forming small groups, and learning from each other. And we need to try to go to that mode. Okay, so that's what we're going to try to do. Before we do that, let me first of all, I need to apologize to many of you for huge number of emails that you've been getting. Multiple places, multiple number of emails, and so on. I apologize for that. We're trying our best to communicate information to everybody, and sometimes it might get annoying. Number of emails. I'm sorry about that. Just to let you know, we have I have recently discovered this new technology that's called Telegram. Okay, Telegram. For those of you who are younger, much younger, may not understand what this word Telegram, the connotation is, but I remember when I was a kid, my generation, Hans's generation, telegrams were very common. When I was a kid, grew up in Bombay, whenever we used to be visiting our native village in remote Andhra Pradesh, my father used to send a telegram to my grandfather, say, hey, they're on the train, receive them, and so on and so on. So short telegrams were the way we used to communicate in those days. And I think the app, Telegram app that's come on online is now helping us all communicate. And I think we are going to shift a lot of our communication to Telegram. So pretty soon, all of you will receive an email from me inviting you to join an online community for sharing through Telegram, so that we're not having this many emails. We might start moving towards Telegram for communication. So in the future, starting today, we have one example of sharing from an actual practitioner at a college, St. Joseph Engineering College in India, in Mangalore, India, Keith Fernandez. This is an example of what I mean by getting some of you who are in the trenches, who are actually facing the difficulties and trying to improve, make sure the students are actually learning in spite of the shutdowns and in spite of our various difficulties. You're doing a valiant job, and I congratulate all of you for doing that. So here's an example of one of those, like you, trying to do this. And accidentally I discovered his what he was doing by a couple of emails that I had with him earlier a couple of weeks ago. So in the same way, through Telegram, through our interaction with Telegram, we hope to discover more of you who are trying out some exciting things and want to share not just successes, but also failures, because very often we learn from what other people have failed in doing. That way it helps us learn how to do things better. So in the future, we will have every Wednesday, pretty much, we will have, in collaboration with IFEES and GEDC, a much more globally oriented webinar every Wednesday. And in addition to that, I'm planning to start just sharing types of webinars, focusing largely on the Indian community, because that's the one I'm more familiar with, and they will share. The rest of the community is welcome to join. but before other countries might actually consider thinking of creating something like that for our own countries, because sometimes these things are country specific. Some of the issues that are specific to India may not be relevant to some other countries, and so we will invite you to that. But gradually, I hope you will see a reduction in the number of emails from me, at least. So I want to thank you all for being with us. I hope you enjoy this particular webinar, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just briefly put up a slide which introduces you to Keith Fernandez. He is an assistant professor in the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering at St. Joseph Engineering College, Mangaluru, India. He has a bachelor's degree in Electronics Communication Engineering and master's degree in Microelectronics from the University of Western Australia. He's completed the IUC. We have a certification program that he's completed. And is very much involved in engineering education research. He's undergone the Facilitator Certification in Human Resource Development, is active member IEEE, and presently chair of the student activities in IEEE Mangalore section. With that, let me hand this over to, I'm going to turn myself off and hand this over to Keith. So just give me a minute. I'll make him the presenter, and he's ready to go. All right, over to you, Keith. If you feel like it, you can show them your face for a few seconds. Otherwise, you can keep going.
Maybe at the end, sir.
Okay, keep going. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir, for the introduction. I would like to thank IFEES, GEDC, and IUC for giving me an opportunity to show my work in the field of online classroom to all the people who have gathered over here. So let me start. So this is my outline. I'm going to speak about the need for the online classroom in present scenario and what motivated me and what was my objective when I started online classroom teaching. Then the 4-step implementation that typically required when we want to set up an online classroom environment, and some of the challenges and benefits I encountered during my online classroom teaching. So the need was because of the challenge that we have to take up, that is teach from home. So due to the crisis, we all educators are facing a challenge of how to teach from home. Some of the universities have their own LMS system with which they can easily modify and implement this online classroom without any hassle. But in countries specifically like in India, there are some universities which follow this method and are expected to do this kind of online teaching. But it is a very difficult task for the institutions like us, which have been privately run, to quickly adapt to the low-cost online classroom session. The major hurdle in setting up a good LMS platform is the high cost involved in the purchase of the LMS and the implementation and the supporting architecture infrastructure that is required. So in order to continue teaching and keep students engaging without losing their focus, we must had to come up with the low-cost implementation of an online classroom model. So the motivation for me was my experience while I was pursuing my master's degree in the University of Western Australia. There I was part-time working and I was learning as well. So I found that this online classroom was a very good concept which was prevailed over there. And also I got more motivation from the IUC certification program that I underwent. And also our college management was supportive to get myself enrolled in this kind of a program. And when I tried this initially, when I started my teaching, I got good positive feedback from my students. They encouraged me, they gave a good feedback saying that this is something new that we have never encountered and please continue doing so. And of everything, I had an interest of teaching outside the four walls of the classroom. And I wanted to bring in more of educational technology in the teaching practice. So this was my objective when I wanted to start an online classroom. I wanted to explore and implement possible low-cost ways to continue teaching through online mode and keep students motivated without compromising on the quality of the teaching during the time of COVID-19 pandemic. So I thought of starting this online mode of teaching by having a 4 steps. So if we can identify these or implement these particular 4 steps, then we will have an online classroom set up in no amount of time. So the first step was to identify a suitable, freely available LMS platform. The second step was to select an appropriate online lecture delivery mechanism. The third one was to choose the content, posting and sharing. And the final step was to explore and develop online assessment techniques. So let us go to the first step. The first step was to identify a suitable LMS platform. So there are a lot of service providers they are out there, the apps that are there which provide some kind of an LMS platform. Most of them are offering basic versions free of cost, but there are some which charge for the further implementation. So many of you must be familiar with whatever I have put up over here. And out of these, the one that attracted me the most was the Google Classroom and the Canvas by Instructure. Both of these platforms were free of cost at the initial state and for the implementation state as well. The Google Classroom, what I'm proposing over here is comes in bundle with the Google for Education. So it is very easy to implement. So I started my journey with Google Classroom in the year 2017, and it was not very flexible. I mean, I wanted to do more, but Google was very slow in updating Google Classroom. Then I came across IICP program where they started using Canvas. So I got hooked to Canvas, and I found that most of the things which I wanted to implement are there already built in the Canvas platform. So in my sessions, I'm going to just go away from my presentation and just show you some of the demos that can be done. So I'm just going to show you the Canvas platform that we have. So this is my Canvas platform. I have so far taught full 4 semester courses in using this platform in past 2 years. The interface is very simple. If you want to start a course, just click on Start New Course, and you have to fill in some details, and in no time, your course will be set up. So this is the course that I'm presently teaching. And so you have the ability to create modules. You have the ability to post contents, notifications. So overall, this is an ideal classroom environment that you would like to have, or an LMS platform that you would like to have to share or inform the students about the activities that have been carried out in this particular course. So this is the module that I'm currently doing, and I can always go and add some contents if you want. So there are these features that are readily available. So in this way, I have found that Canvas was a very good platform. But with the beginner point of view, I would suggest Google Classroom because you will get to know, first of all, what is online teaching, how do you enroll students, and what are the difficulties that you face. But slowly you can transform yourselves to Canvas. So this is a Google Classroom environment. You have here option to either join a class or create a class. And now the interface has changed and a little bit more interactive. So this was one of the courses that I had done in the year 2018. So let me go back. All right. The second step was to choose an appropriate online lecture delivery mechanism. So I thought that there are 2 possible ways with which I can implement this. One is pre-recorded lecture, and the second one is live lecture. I'm using a mixture of both pre-recorded lecture and live lecture during my sessions because it gives me some kind of a flexibility. Specifically in countries like India, there are some students who come from very rural areas, so the internet connectivity tends to be a little poor, and every day having live lecture will not be a suitable thing to do. So I decided that I will record lectures, upload it, and these recorded lectures they have to go through, and I will conduct in a week, let's say 2 or 3 live lectures which they can come back and ask doubts or solve problems. So it's like having a flipped classroom but entirely done online. So for a pre-recorded lecture, I'm using the following applications. I'm using MS PowerPoint, MS OneNote. This is a built-in feature that comes with the Microsoft Office and the Microsoft Whiteboard. We all are familiar with the Microsoft PowerPoint. I'm not going to talk much about it, but OneNote was something that was very interesting because it gave me a mode with which I can share my content with the students. I'll come to the demo of that. And whiteboard also serves the similar purpose, but I felt that OneNote is more flexible. So the other thing that was recorded for recording was a drawing pen that was necessary. So I'm using a tab with the pen. So this tab is connected to a USB to my computer, and you have to look at the screen and you have to write over here, and the same will be replicated on this particular screen. So I'm just going to show a quick demo about both of these. So this is my OneNote. This is a lecture which I did yesterday. So as you can see that I can create courses here. I can create notebooks, and each notebook I can have different sections, and each sections I can have different pages. So this will help me in organizing the content. And again, this is freely available, comes built in with your MS Office. For the purpose of writing, I'm using a pen. So let me just quickly show you what I can do. So this way I can type and write, and I can show it to my students. So this becomes helpful for me because I'm going to simulate the classroom environment which they are used to. Similarly, you have the other application known as Microsoft Whiteboard. It also does the similar functionality. It can be used for typing the content or showing the content that you want. The next thing that was required for me was to record these lectures. So I went through many of the softwares that are readily available. There was Camtasia and some other softwares, Camrecorder, but all those were not freely available. The one which I found that and had most of the features which are required for a recording was Active Presenter. So with the help of Active Presenter, I was able to record my lectures. So I can just show you the Active Presenter. So this is the Active Presenter window. So you have the ability to record a video. So when you click on record video, you will get a window with which you can select a specific slide or a specific app that you want to share with your students, and you can continue. And there are some video, audio recording connections, configurations that are readily available. You can also use a record software simulation option. And with this, after the recording done, I'll just show you one of the recordings which I have done. So this is one of the recordings that I have done. This was for one of the lectures, and it gives you control to edit this particular video that you have recorded. Mainly because whenever we speak, we tend to have long pauses or sometimes some things that I want to remove from the lecture. So it gives me the ability to cut, copy, and edit options, which are normally not available in Microsoft PowerPoint, because Microsoft also allows you to do some kind of a voiceover, but editing options are not available over here. So whenever I record, I sometimes record for 20 minutes, but after editing, the video comes down to 15 or 12 minutes, something like that, which is good because I need to keep my videos short. I don't want it to be lengthy. The minute it becomes lengthy, students do not like it, and they just leave the continuation. So this is the audio that is there. Again, you have the ability to edit. So let me just drag forward, and you can see that all the things that I have recorded is under my control for editing. So the next mechanism was to record a live lecture or to give a live lecture. There are various platforms that are available. You have Google Hangouts Meet, you have Zoom, you have Skype Meet now, and Microsoft Teams. So any one of these platforms can be used. The one which I use is Google Hangouts along with Google Calendar. Google Hangouts is a place with which I can do a live session. I can have up to 250 students in my class, and they can listen to my presentation live. And I use Google Calendar to do a scheduling. So again, let me just go back and show you how I have done this. This is my Google Calendar. Let's say I want to create a session maybe on Wednesday. I just click on create. So when you click on create, you have the options to give like title, let's say, call it as meeting. You have the option here, something called as add conferencing. So when you add conferencing, it will automatically create a Hangouts Meet link for you. So you don't have to, you can go to the app, the Google Calendar that will do it for you. And if you go for more options, it will allow you to send invites to the students. So you can click here and paste all the email IDs and send out a request for the students to join this particular live session. So I will show you one that I have done it over here. So this is for my lecture, which will happen tomorrow. So I have given a brief intro about what I'm doing in my lecture, and this is the guest list. And I can also see how many students have said yes, maybe, or how many are still awaiting for their responses. So this is one good feature that can be used, and all the students will get an email of this feature where they can click yes, maybe, or no, and they can attend the meeting. And I have the ability to set up reminders so that they don't forget that there is a session. Let me come to Hangouts Meet. This Hangout Meet will automatically set up a live session. So you can just click on either join or start meeting. So if you're joining, you have to just paste the link over here. Or if you want to start a meeting, then you have to give a meeting name and then click on continue. And for scheduling, as I said over here, you need to use the calendar platform. So this is again a free of cost model, which comes bundled with Google for Education, which our college is subscribed to. So I am putting some of the screenshots that I did of my previous lecture. I had almost 92 students out of 118 attending this particular session. So this is what I can see. So I am basically presenting my OneNote over here. Whenever I write something on that, it appears in this format to the students, so they can see what is happening. All right. The third step was to choose a platform for content sharing and hosting. I found that Google for Education gives you unlimited space in their cloud to store the content and share the content. So Google Drive and YouTube both are well versed in doing so. I specifically like YouTube because YouTube gives me much more control over what is happening with respect to the videos that I have shared. Let me quickly go to that and show you what is happening. So this is my YouTube window. I have a YouTube channel under my name, and these are the videos that I have posted in past 1 month. So you can see that these are very short videos, and I can see the number of students who have viewed the video. So this gives me some kind of a satisfaction saying that students have viewed. I can go to YouTube Studio to get more analytics with respect to the videos that I have shared. So one of the options that I use is analytics over here. And it basically draws a graph of the usage. So you can see that I have peak usages on some of the days. This is typically on the day when I have an assignment due or a quiz due. Students tend to go to those videos. So again, this is a mechanism with which I can get some feedback that students are involved in the teaching learning process that I have introduced online. So the final part is to explore and develop online assessment techniques. There are many online assessment techniques that are available, but the one which I have found to be useful is one is Kahoot. The other one is you can use Google Forms, which is a package under Google, where you can create a form and make it a quiz and share it with students. You have Canvas itself, which will allow you to create some kind of quizzes. And again, Google Classroom will have some of these features built in. Why I use Kahoot is helpful for me when I do some kind of a live session. I'll just show you the screenshots. So this is a live session which I had done with my students. So there was a quiz conducted during the live session just to take the feedback whether they have understood the concepts or not. So I have the ability to set the timer here, and I can see how many students have already submitted their answers. So this was a good mechanism that I had. And finally, after the 10 questions, it will give me the top 3 scorers and runners up in this particular quiz that I took place. Let me show you the Kahoot itself. So once the quiz is done, I can generate a report. It generates reports for all the students who have taken part. And the one nice feature that I have is I can see the percentage of students, the amount of time that they have taken. So you can see that in this particular quiz, within 20 seconds, all the students, majority of the students were able to answer, and after that, it goes down some kind of a go. So like these reports are available for all the quizzes that the students are taking using Kahoot platform. At present, if you enroll for Kahoot, the premium version is available for free of cost. So for 3 months, next 3 months, you will get Kahoot premium version for free of cost. So I request you all to explore this particular platform. Very interactive, very catchy, because when I did it last year with my students, it catched them all, and they were like, every time, let's have a Kahoot quiz, let's have a Kahoot quiz. So it brings up that gamification in the learning process. The other thing that I use is Canvas itself. Canvas has the ability to set up quizzes or assignments. So one of the questions that a challenge that I face is how to ensure that students do not plagiarize their assignment. So during the live lecture itself, I put an assignment out and I give them half an hour to solve it and next half an hour to upload it. So I can just show you one of the submissions. So basically what they do is they take a pic of their assignment, they convert it into a PDF and they upload it for the submission. So then I go through this particular assignment. So this is one of the assignment submissions that is being done. Then I can just grade it by looking at it over here. So this again, gives me more flexibility to know what they have done. And the similar platform exists here in the form of quizzes. So you can conduct quizzes. Again, I have so far done 4 quizzes, and these quizzes will have a lot of options. Like it's not just multiple choices. You can have many other options like true or false, fill multiple blanks, multiple correct answers, match the following, insert a formula. So there are options that are available in quizzes itself. One of the things that I found what students were doing is I used to keep the window for quiz quite long. That means let's say 12 hours. They can take it once, and once they are done, it's done. But I found that some of the students tend to plagiarize in terms of giving away the answers for the students. So now I have decided that now I have fixed a fixed date and a fixed time during which they can take the quiz. So they need to be there. It was taken from their opinion itself. I made a poll and make sure that they give their feedback. So this was all with respect to the assessment part. So you need to explore the mediums with which you can do assessment. So it is a task for the faculty to find out, go online and find out the mediums that are available, or I don't think otherwise there's any other way with which you can gain this amount of knowledge that is required. So some of the challenges that I faced during the implementation was, the first challenge was to give the lecture with no audience. So this was very difficult for me. I was used to 50, 60 students in my classroom, but now I have to give a lecture to my screen. It's not a good feeling in the initial stages, but as you go along, it becomes an habit. The next thing is writing using the digital pen and the tablet. It's a task that you need to practice a lot, and it will take some amount of time to get used to. The next one, as I said, pre-recorded lectures. So you need to edit those if you want to upload. For example, yesterday I had recorded a 38-minute lecture, but after editing, it came down to 25 minutes. So there were so many unnecessary pauses and all those things which I wanted to get rid of. So recording took me just 40 minutes, editing took me 3 hours. So again, the investment of time comes from the faculty side who is going to do this. Another important thing that I have come to know is students take time to get used to the online teaching and learning platform. Let us be very honest here that they have been used for this face-to-face interaction for almost 15, 16 years of their entire lifetime. They had 10 standards, plus 12 and plus 2 and engineering. So almost 13, 14 years they are used to face-to-face interaction, and now suddenly we are asking them to shift to an online platform. It takes some time for them to get adjusted. So some of the students find it difficult to go to video lectures or because of the network issues. And there are some students who are not interested at all. They don't. So there is a very small percentage of that. I'm trying to get in touch with them and find out what is happening, but they are not so forthcoming in those things. The other thing is you need to make a habit of making them read notifications and emails that are sent regularly. I have seen that specifically in India, students do not go to the email. So as soon as I start taking class, I make sure that I bring in the policy of communication via email. So I think that's a good way with which you can develop some kind of etiquette with them. And the final thing is there is no single platform that will integrate what all 4 steps that I discussed just now. So you need to jump between different apps to do online classes. Benefits, there are plenty actually. Some of them I have already listed out to you over here. Reusability. So what I can do is the recordings that I have done is permanent. I don't have to again record it. So maybe next year I can use it in the flipped classroom mode. I can discuss more problems in the class, and I can ask them to go to the videos for the theory part of it. On-demand videos for the students and to revisit lectures. So anytime they can go to YouTube and watch these videos. So if they are not clear with some concept, they can go back. Content availability. These contents are available as long as I keep them available on YouTube. There are discussion forums. I'm now exploring forums like Slack and Trello so that I can have some kind of a discussion. So I'm using Trello already for my project students with which we can communicate. Completion of the syllabus. So there is no problem that I don't have to hurry once the college reopens to complete the syllabus. I can take my usual pace. Interaction with the students during live lectures. Again, I try to make my live lectures as lively as possible. By whenever I solve a problem, I wait for them to put up the answers in the chat window. So they put up the answers only after I get, let's say, 10 or 15 answers correct. I put up the answer or the solution. So in this way, we can make it interactive as well. So I think we as a faculty need to explore more and find out what are the benefits that are available. And if we are determined to take up this task of conducting online classroom, we need to find all the possible ways that are out there to deliver this particular online classroom kind of an environment to our students. But once you make sure that students get hooked to whatever you are doing, they will really appreciate it. I have got feedback from the students saying that when are you doing live lectures? That shows that they have some kind of an interest to attend online sessions. So that also gives an indication that at home they are not enjoying, they are seriously considering their studies. So in this way, I think I was able to pretty much set up an online classroom for my students. And I'm encouraging most of you to look at some of the things that I have given over here so that it will become beneficial for you when you set up your online classroom. I think with this, I conclude. Thank you very much. Hello, sir.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
I'll read out a few questions.
Yeah.
In the Google Classroom, have you registered as
Muted.
Yes, sir. Can you be a little bit louder, sir?
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry. I think Sridhar, I think something happened to my audio. That's why I think Sridhar jumped in. Sorry about that. Okay, so thank you, Keith. This was just such a fantastic presentation given with so many practical things that you can do. And I think the audience of more than 500 people are here. We've had to turn away quite a few people in the process, and I think most of the young faculty who are listening to you are eager to try out these things. And so let's get a few questions answered. So let us see. Tell us a little bit. How long have you been involved with some of these tools that you're talking about? Is it months, years?
Canvas I've been using for almost 2 years. Before that, I used to use Google Classroom. So these tools are, that I was used to. But YouTube is something which I started just 1 month back. So it's not a difficult task. You can find how to create a YouTube channel on YouTube itself.
And then the other ones like Kahoot and other things that you
Kahoot is an interesting platform which I came across when I was attending one of the conferences. So again, Kahoot is just 6 or 7 months that I have started.
Great. So a lot of this you've done essentially in the last 6 months or so, I think, right? Many of the new things you've done. Yes. So it's something that all of you can do in the audience. And so, as I said, we will be having sessions like this, and particularly even more detailed sessions where we'll actually have workshops where we can have somebody like Keith or others who have tried out these things to give a, for example, give a whole webinar on this Kahoot, for example, or one of these tools that he's talked about. So in the future, we'll organize those kinds of events also for more detailed workshop kind of discussions. But today, let's have a few more questions and see what you have for what's going on. So let's see. Okay, the question here is. In a Google Classroom, are you registered as an institution or as an individual?
Right now, Google allows you to start Classroom in both as an individual, as also as an institutional email ID that you have. Earlier, it was restricted only for institutional, but the one which I showed right now was under my personal domain right now. So it allows you both.
Okay. From Navneet Singh, can we design an online objective type test in Canvas which will start at a certain point and close, and scores of automatically get recorded?
Yes, exactly. We can do that. You can have the option of creating multiple choices. Let me just exit and I'll just show it to you. So when you go for quizzes, you have the option to edit this quiz. So typically I keep my quizzes timed. So that means they have time, let's say just 35 minutes, or depending on the number of questions that are there. And I have the ability to set up from which time to which time it is available. So in this particular case, I made it available from night 10 o'clock to midnight. And so I can control. And even with respect to questions, as I said, there are different ways with which you can set up questions. You have multiple choice, true or false, fill in the blanks. So there are many options that are available. Sometimes I prefer essay type questions because students can give more elaborate, but it's a task that is cut out for me as a faculty because I need to go to every answers to check. But if you do multiple choice, it will automatically create it.
Okay. This is from Sufa Lakshmi. Do Google Classroom has live lecture facility? Can we record student attendance?
Yes, actually, right now you can use, if you have an institutional ID, it will allow you to create an announcement here itself with the Google Class, with Hangouts Meet ID that is being given here. So that is possible, and even that is possible in Canvas. So if you go to announcements, this is a new feature that they have brought in, recent feature.
Okay, this is from Alfred Nagovi from South Africa. Can materials prepared on one LMS, say Canvas, be easily transferred to a different LMS such as Google Classroom or Blackboard?
I have not explored that right now. Maybe there are some options to download the codes, and it may be possible because I have seen where you can download this in Excel format and make it compatible across different apps that are there.
Okay, something worth looking into. Pankaj Konikar says, the screen recorder safe? I don't know what it means by that. Screen recorder, is it safe? Do you understand the question?
As long as screen recorder there's nothing wrong with using a screen recorder. It just records your screen. Make sure that you have all the setup done. If you don't want webcam, make sure that you turn off the webcam, and still if you don't press, put a black tape on it. So it won't record any video.
Okay, Savan Dandapani says, is it easy to editing the mode that you set for everyone? Is that very difficult, or is it easy?
Active Presenter, I think it is a very easy editing software that is available. You just drag and select a section which you want to, just delete it, and you have the options readily available over there to edit. And let's say you have missed out something during your lecture and you want to add it, you have the ability to add it during your lecture itself. So all these facilities are readily available for you to take it up.
Okay, Navneet Singh says, is it possible to export the lecture recorded in Canvas to computer hard disk outside Canvas?
With respect to Canvas, I don't do recording basically because of the space limitation that I have. Canvas gives me only 500 MB. So what I do is I upload it in YouTube and then I post the links here. So if you see all my lectures, what I have are basically the YouTube links that I have posted over here.
Okay. Okay. Alfred Nagovi says, are your videos on YouTube open to the whole world?
No, at the moment I have kept them as unlisted. Basically because right now I'm more concentrating on my students, because if I want to make it open to the whole world, I need to do a little bit more editing, more content, and I need to be there whenever some questions are arising. So maybe in the future I will try to do it open to everyone.
So that's a good possibility, because people in South Africa, other countries might benefit, or India might benefit from what's being done in other countries. So that this kind of collaboration that IFEES, GDC, IUC is creating can actually lead to those kinds of situations. I think it's possible. Question from Ishrat Mirzana: can I add Kahoot in Google Hangout Meet during my live class?
Yes. Actually, what you see over here is during a Google Live session itself. So you can see this is me over here, and this was the screen that I shared of my computer with the students. So this is where they can see the question. The thing with the Kahoot is they need to have a smartphone, or if they just have a smartphone, the problem is they have to first look at the question and the answers, because when you answer Kahoot, you won't get the options with the names, let's say CS amplifier. So you just get the icons with the color. So you get a triangle, you get a circle, and you get a square. So they need to press on the correct shape. So that is what they have to do. So it is very good if they have a laptop and a mobile. So in the laptop they can see the question, and in the mobile they can answer. So the laptop will be used for it will be the Hangouts Meet that is going on, and the mobile will be used for answering. Again, it takes some practice to get used to. As I said, each of these steps, what I said, can be done as a 1 or 2 hours webinar itself or a workshop itself to get to know much more in detail.
Very nice. I think actually nowadays the millennial students will be much better at doing this than we are. Anyway, next question from Manoj Kumar. What about an integrated platform? Is the integrated platform covering all 4 components, or do we have to do them separately?
Yeah, that's what I said over here. The one problem for me is no single solution for integrating all. So this is something which needs to be explored, because all these are different platforms owned by different companies. So I don't know when this cross compatibility will come for all these applications.
Okay, I think Blackboard Collaborate kind of tries to do that, but that's very expensive. I think in the US people use it for different, not all of these features, but some of them. Navneet Singh asked about the digital pen tablet. It's a computer peripheral. How much does it cost?
It varies in terms of Indian rupees. It goes somewhere around, let's say, 3,000 rupees to 15,000 rupees based on the type you want it. If you are using for a basic version, I think 3,000, 4,000 is a reasonable one which you can purchase. So in terms of dollars, somewhere around, let's say, 30 to 50, 60, $70. So there are variables that are available on Amazon.
Not bad. How is a handwritten document loaded?
Which one, sir? Hangout.
Handwritten document can be loaded. Can you load
it? That's what I'm using, a digital pen and tablet to do that. So this is one peripheral. The cost factor that comes into this particular online setup is that I need to buy a pen tablet for me to show what I'm writing to my students. So that's what I have done over here. So I used a pen tablet to do all these writings. Okay. So you need to purchase this additional peripheral so that you can do all this writing.
Okay.
I think I have shown it over here.
Okay, Lakshmi asks another question. You talked about the Google Suite for education. Is there any other option besides some of the education institution having Google Suite?
Google for Education is one that has been predominantly used, but I think that there is also Microsoft which offers similar kind of an approach. But in that case, you need to use the tools that are given by Microsoft. So like that, you have Microsoft Teams, which comes as an integrated part of your Office 365. So you can use Office 365 to use that particular platform.
Okay. Just a reminder, everybody will get a recording of this, those who attended or registered, so don't worry about it. Recording of this webinar will be sent as usual, as we have done in all the past webinars. Alfred Nagovi says, what is the feedback of the students regarding online learning compared with face-to-face teaching and learning?
It is mixture, what I can say. What I feel is they need to get used to this kind of an environment. So I think after this crisis gets over, we must start doing this more often, so that the shift becomes very easy for them, rather than, as I said, they have been used to 10, 12 years of face-to-face interaction, and suddenly now we are asking them to go for an online mode. So the transition will take some time for them. If you are a person who has been regularly doing some kind of online courses, let's say on edX, Coursera, then this is very easy to adopt. But with respect to students, they will take some time. But from student perspective, they are very happy with what I have been doing right now. For my 120 students, they don't have any problems, and I have suggested to other my faculties also, and they are also started using this particular platform, and they have received a positive feedback.
Okay, question here about exams, particularly final exams. How would you manage those without cheating?
I cannot do a final exam on an online platform, other than I might have to go up software which can do that. There are many softwares that are available, but they all are paid per user. So online exam is not something that I'm looking at it right now in this online class.
That's a good point you make. I think for all of you listening, this what Keith has shown us is some very low cost ways of doing these things. I think there are some things out there that are much more expensive, but I think for most of us in colleges, I think it's good to have an option to have some low cost versions of it. I think that's what he has really brought to us today. JP Mosen from the US is asking about experience with the labs online. Do you have any experience with labs online, laboratories?
Okay, this is something which I did it once for one of my courses in last year. It takes some time for students to get used to. What we have in India is something called as virtual labs. Some of the IITs and NITs offer this kind of interface with which student can book a slot and do some kind of online labs. But for my subject, there is no lab component, so I have not explored it much. But there are some things that can be done. Let's say when I taught Verilog HDL, I used online simulator for them to go and do the simulation and show me the results. And with respect to circuits, I used NI Multisim Live. So there's a website called as Multisim Live, with which you can register yourself and you have the ability to simulate circuits. And basically what I ask students is to simulate the circuits, download the results, or basically send me the link of the circuit that they have. And I look at it and I check whether they have done it right and I give the marks. So that's one way to do it. But I have not explored it as much as I'm supposed to right now, because I don't have the component of the lab in my subject.
Okay, Muruganandam asks, can you talk a little bit about your discussion forum that you use for the students?
Discussion forums, at the moment, I'm using announcements on Canvas itself. Students have the ability to post discussion or questions, but most of the students, what I have found, that they don't use it very actively. This kind of an environment, they are very hesitant to ask questions, because one thing that they have in their mind is, if I ask questions, what the other students will think of me. So this is something that I have come across several incidents where students are hesitating to even ask questions on an online platform. But what I have tried to do is, I have used an app called as Trello. This is for my project students. It is only 4 or 5 students whom I have. So it's not a problem, because I just look after the task, what they are doing, the updation, whether it is in progress or completed or yet to start. So Trello is one such application which can be used to track the progress of the project or any work that has been assigned.
Okay, question from Mohsen. How long are your YouTube lectures typically?
I try to keep it very short. My duration is 12 to 15 minutes or sometimes 10 minutes. This is basically because the attention span is only till then. But if there are lengthy concepts, let's say yesterday's lecture of mine was 25 minutes. So I put a note saying that this video is going to be lengthy. So make sure that you pause, you understand the concept, and then go ahead. Because some of the concepts I need to cover up in one single lecture. Let's say frequency analysis, it takes quite a little bit of time for me to do the entire setup and derivations, like everything. So that's one announcement I typically do before I give out the video lectures.
Okay, some of them are interested in all the various platforms. Monica is saying, can you put up on the screenshot all the platforms that you're using? So she wants you to create a screenshot of it.
Yeah, sure. I'll just put it up.
Just go through the different platforms, slides with the platforms on it, one after the other. Wait for a few seconds. I think Monica wants to take some screenshots. While you're doing that, and I'll ask other questions. I assume they're nothing much available for long answer examinations, right? Long text answer examination. That's not something that's. Yeah.
That's not a possibility right now, because I really cannot control the environment. That's because I don't have the control. I can do it. I had actually proposed this to students. Let's all of you switch on your webcams and I can see what you people are doing, that you're not copying. But it is not a feasible idea at the moment, because it will take up a lot of bandwidth, and even for the student side, I need to be considerate. I don't want to impose too many things right now.
Right. Can you see the audience live?
Yes, I have shared this slide.
No, I mean audience. I mean, if you have audience of 260 students, can you see them live? I think in Zoom you can see them,
yeah,
right?
I have the ability, but typically I give students a note saying that please turn off your webcams. That's basically because I want them to save their bandwidth. The moment you switch on the webcams, the problem that will happen is data starts going like anything, and I don't think they have so much of data. They get per day 1.5 GB or 1 GB of data with their mobile phones. And it also makes my process slow if you have the webcam on. So typical announcement is not to keep their webcams on. That's what I normally ask them to. But it is possible. I can see everyone. There's an option to do that.
Okay, what tablet and stylus would you recommend? It's from Kathleen Pacheco.
There is a company by the name XP. I'm not promoting anyone. I'm just saying what I'm using. I'm using by a company known as XP Pen that had a good number of reviews and good positive reviews in Amazon. So that's why I went for that.
Okay. A couple of comments on how to use some of these tools. I think we'll have separate sessions for those of you. Like Dinesh Kumar says, Kahoot, Savan says, how do we learn how to use Active Presenter? I think that will take longer webinars, and we will, as a group, this community, we'll be doing these in the near future based on the demand of what types of tools, and we'll try to get some people like Heath and others who are using these tools to actually give a demo and walk you through it, and maybe give some assignments and learn how to do it. So that way, you'll be better at doing it and not just a quick 1 minute description of it. Okay, let's see. In Google Hangouts, how to avoid the option of admit for our live session. I'm not sure what that means. Do you understand what that means? It's just saying in Google Hangouts, how to avoid the option of admit for our live session.
Okay, all right. When you send an invite using a Google Calendar, you don't have to admit them. They will by default be able to enter the classroom. But if they are joining using a link, let's say I shared with them this link, and I can do this. I can share this link with the students and ask them to join. So it is very similar to the environment that you have in Zoom. You need to admit each and every student. So you can avoid that by inviting the student. So this is how you can do that. You just put up an invite, and all these mail IDs, whenever they enter, they are free to enter without any admission problems. Yeah.
Okay. As again, a question about are all these tools free? I think you have said that they're all free, right? Essentially, if at least for
they
now.
All are free.
They all are free. Address, okay.
Hangouts Meet is available only if you have Google for Education.
Okay, and then maybe after 3 months, some of them may not be free, but at least for now, many Kahoot and others are free. Satish Chandan asks, can we have start live lecture through Canvas?
Yes, actually, there is an option. This is something which I was recently exploring. There is an option called as conference. This is a free service that is provided by somebody called as Blick Blue Button. I have not yet started exploring this, but I feel that it is providing a similar platform like your Hangouts, Zoom, and Teams. You can try out. This is a good option. Again, I need to go through this. I have not yet started. You can see that it's empty.
Okay, a couple of questions on assessment that will require much longer discussion. We can't do it today, but there's always problems with plagiarism and cheating and all. How do we deal with that? I think we can have separate sessions discussing that, Babak. We won't have time to do that now. Let's see. Do we invite students using an email or email ID or with a code?
For my live sessions, I'm just sending an invite using Google Calendar.
Okay.
So this is how I do it. Yeah.
Okay, great. So we have pretty much, we have a few more questions, but we run out of time. We'll ask Hans, our distinguished Hans Hoyer, to make a few comments at this point.
Thank you, Keith. Can you hear me, Keith?
Yes, yes.
Wonderful. Just a couple, one comment and a question. The comment and following the vision that Krishna articulated, this gives us an opportunity on a more practical level to connect not only professors and students and leaders in India, but globally. And I'm very happy good friends from South Africa and other parts of the world will join us. And that's very much the intention of the IFEES and IUC community. So I really appreciate what you've given us. Is very consistent with our vision. But the practical question I want to ask, what shows there's a clear generational difference between the younger professors like yourself and the older generation of professors. How do you support the older professors who are less savvy in terms of the IT revolution that we live in today? Any comments?
Yeah, this is a problem that even we face in our college as well. There are few people who are ready to adapt quickly to these changes, and there are some people who take some time to adapt. So what I have done is there are few people who had asked me for help who were finding this difficult to be done. I basically went on with them using, let's say, TeamViewer, and I did a setup because since the lockdown, I cannot move and go to their places. We all are at our homes. So some were able to do that. I was able to do the setup for them. But it requires a little bit practice, with no disrespect to the senior professors, but I think it requires more practice for them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So yeah, thank you, Hans, and thank you for everybody, this very active discussion, interactive discussion. As I said earlier, let me wrap it up by reminding you that we are going to be transitioning partly into a different mode, and we will continue to have a few experts who will talk to us and tell us what they're doing, but we will move more towards you as the participants, you as practitioners at the ground floor in the classroom, struggling to make this happen. We want to involve you in the process of talking to each other because you have the answers, not the experts on the stage. Okay, so you have most of the answers. So let each of you communicate with us. I will be sending out a request to join a Telegram communication group. It's a little like WhatsApp. I think it has much more more features than that, and it can accommodate many people, thousands of people. So I'm hoping to build an online community using Telegram of each of you participating. So if you do receive an invite for Telegram, even if you're not familiar with Telegram, please join. And then we'll slowly use that as a way to get interact with each other and learn, and then use that as a platform then to decide who can give short discussions. You don't have to give 30-minute or 45-minute webinars. You can give 10-minute pieces. Okay, so we can have, for example, we can have webinars in which 3 people give 10-minute sharing experience. It doesn't have to be a professional presentation. Just talk. Tell us a couple of slides and talk about what you're doing. Another person does that for 10 minutes, another person, and then we have common discussion. So that will be a much more active engagement, collaborative learning among our teams. We'll start those kinds of sessions very soon, but we need to get you all to become engaged and say, okay, I have this experience. I would like to give a 10-minute presentation. I would like to and I need to collect a lot of you to make those volunteer to do that. And then once we have those kinds of presentations, we'll be able to identify from those presentations where the need is for longer duration workshops. So many of you might say, okay, I want to learn how to use Kahoot. Okay, fine. So let us have a 1 or 2 detailed sessions on how to use Kahoot, and or 1 or 2 detailed sessions on how to use Google Hangout, and those can be followed after we have these short 10-minute sharing sessions. So all these will roll out in the next few weeks. So look forward to it and respond to whatever emails that you receive from us. So thank you again. Thank you, everybody.